Army reporter Carl Reiner here at LaGuardia Airport, awaiting the arrival of a plane load of eminent visitors, among them the distinguished Viennese authority on fishing and angling. It is reputedly the world's greatest fisherman alive today. And here he is, Professor Hookline von Sinker. Professor Sinker. Good evening, Professor Sinker.
There she blows!
Yes, Professor...
Oh, I came from fishing just now.
Well, that's wonderful. Professor...
Lost my sinker.
Well, that's a shame. Professor, I understand that you are, as we all know, the world's greatest fisherman. Now, you must have had some exciting experiences in your time. Would you relate to us what you consider to be the most exciting fish story you ever experienced?
Well, I once had a tussle with a... No, that was the little one. I had a tussle with a can of sardines once. I couldn't get it open. Got my finger. Oh, that's see? But anyway, I had a tussle once with the greatest fish that was ever alive.
What was that?
The silver shark.
Oh, the silver shark.
They said, nobody could catch the silver shark. And I said, let him. When I went in the waters where he was swimming, you know, when I threw out my line, when I let it go, and I let it go, and all of a sudden, after about 2 or 3 hours, I hooked into the silver shark. I hooked him, and then I almost thought I was hooked because I was going. And then I reeled him back in. And then I reeled him in, and I let him out a little bit. And then I reeled him, and I played with him, and I played with him. And then I started to reel him a little more. And then I let him out a little bit. And then I started to reel him in, you know. Reeled him in, and then I let him out a little bit. And then I started to reel him in. When he started to swim towards the ship, and then I pushed him away from the ship. On this, it lasted about 7, 8 hours. I was still reeling him in, and I was letting him out and reeling him in. And then I was letting him out. And then finally, after about the second day, I started to reel him in real close. You understand? About the second or third day, I had him near the boat, and then the line broke.
The line snapped.
And the third day, the line snapped, and I grabbed the line with my bare hands, and I held onto the line, and after about the 7th day, I went in the water with the fish. And I was fighting the fish, and I finally got up on top of him, and I yelled for a pair of spurs. And they threw me spurs, and I got on top of the fish, and he would go down, and I would hold him up, and then I would go down over here, and then he up, and I would hold him up here, and then I would go down. And after the 4th month, I was holding him there, like this here, and then I get him right near the boat with the gills, and then I had to let him go.
Well, why, Professor?
It was the end of the fishing season. It took such a long time.
After all that work, it seems a shame. Professor, what would you consider to be the most difficult fish to land and catch in all the oceans?
Well, the most difficult fish to catch is a fox.
Fox, Professor?
Yeah, that's the most difficult. I've never caught one yet.
Well, Professor, a fox is an animal. It's a woodland animal. It's not a fish.
A what?
A fox is not a fish. It's an animal.
Fox is not a fish?
No.
I got all that fox fishing equipment. I gotta throw it away?
It's not a fish.
A wolf is a fish.
No, I'm afraid a wolf is also an animal.
Wolf is not a fish
No,
either?
a wolf is another animal.
I gotta throw away the wolf fishing equipment?
I think so.
But the squirrel...
You have squirrel fishing equipment, too?
Throw it away.
I would. Well, Professor...
Fox is not a fish.
Oh, Professor, you must have seen so many beautiful...
I've never thought of them.
Professor,
Fishing for a fox for 5 years, I never figured.
Well, Professor,
I never figured a fox would not have been a fish.
There's something I'd like to find out. You have sailed the 7 seas, and you must have seen some beautiful and exciting sights.
Oh.
Would you describe one of those to us?
The most beautiful sight I've ever seen is the sight of the flying whale.
Flying whale.
The flying whale, that's a sight. Boy, I'm telling you, you see that 150 tons of blubber just flying around there. Beautiful. You know, sides lightning dangling around. It's beautiful the way it goes around. It's very delicate. 150,000 pounds of blubber just flying through the air. It's a very rare sight, though, because the flying whale only flies once during his lifetime.
Well, what's the reason for that?
Well, when the whale lands, you know, because he got no landing gear, you know, he comes in,
Well, Professor...
and when he goes bang, there's a lot of whale spare ribs hanging around, too.
Professor, you've seen many unusual things. That is one of them. Would you tell us about another one of these unusual experiences and sights?
Oh, there was one time I had the most wonderful time. My whole life, I never thought. But it was the time I spoke with this mermaid. It was wonderful.
A mermaid, Professor?
Yes, she was gorgeous, I'll tell you. And she was intelligent and bright.
You imagine you actually saw a mermaid?
Who was imagining?
Well,
I said I saw a mermaid.
well, we all know, Professor, that...
We all know, what's that?
It's legendary and mythical. We all know that. The sailors have conjured up this myth.
Look, I told you I saw a mermaid, and that's it.
Well, I don't like to dispute you, but...
You want to step outside. Don't fool around now, you understand?
I think that mermaids are probably just legendary. I never...
You know what I'm going to do with you? I'm going to show you up. You want to see a picture? You want to see a picture?
Well,
I'll show you a picture, all right?
I don't believe that.
I'll show you a picture, right away. And you'll be embarrassed, boy. Boy, will you be
You
embarrassed.
don't have to go...
No, don't worry about it. Boy, will you be embarrassed.
Maybe you left it in your other suit, Professor.
What other suit? This is it, kid. This is the suit, boy. Boy, you're going to be embarrassed right away. I'll show you a picture. Right, if somebody's going to be embarrassed right away. I'll show you a picture. Here, right here. There, how's that?
Well, that's a picture of you, Professor. But where's the mermaid?
The mermaid snapped the picture. That's proof for me, boys. I don't know about you, but for me it's proof.
Professor, now there's a...
I'm not one of those scoffers.
Professor, there's a question I'd like to ask you. Now the ichthyologists claim, and I read this in a book lately, the ichthyologists claim that in all the aquamarinal life, both substratana and substratina, from the plankton to the vertebrae, there is a marked comparison between the mobility and gill structure of all self-propelled crustacea. Now, is this basically true, Professor?
I like that. I put on 2 different pairs of shoes. 2 different shoes I put on. That's hard because I only got 1 pair of shoes.
Professor,
What's your name?
What I mean to say is that people are confused. Is the crab a member of the fish family?
Well, the crab, in a way, is a member of the family, but they're not proud of it. They're not proud of it at all, and the crab is like maybe a 2nd cousin or a 5th cousin, you know what I mean?
Sort of the black sheep of the family.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, but he has no wood. Now, any other question...
Professor, what is the biggest fish you've ever caught? That would be interesting.
Well, there's not room enough here for me to show you the biggest. But extend your arm.
Oh, yes. Well...
Extend them. Little wider. Wider. Very wider. But that's not it. It's got to be bigger. Maybe if you touch your right hand with your left toe. No, it's even bigger than that. Come up. Touch your left hand with the right toe. No, try the other way. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. That's all. Hands on hips, place. Now, jumping in place, extending the arm. Good. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. You're going to believe the mermaid? Keep jumping. I'm going to...